Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Surprise, surprise. The Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipelines are not forgotten. No, unfortunately, no. The German investigation, the Danish investigation, and the Swedish investigation did not reach a conclusion, and they will not reach a conclusion for time being until we forget about it. Maybe our great grandchildren will be told, yeah, man, it was the Americans or whomever, right? But Washington Post comes with the answer and tells us who coordinated this. Now that is a step forward, if true. So I skimmed through the article. I will read it for you. And I think it's a setup for Zaluzhny. Remember who's fighting Zaluzhny now? I think Zelensky. So let's see. We have this article from Sputnik, these bad dudes, but they cite Washington Post, so must be true. Isn't Washington Post owned by Jeff Bezos with Amazon? I think so, isn't he? It's okay. He's free speech, free media, owned by a private guy who has pleasures, displeasures, political inclinations, and interests. But hey, we're free. You gotta be kidding me. Anyway, Washington Post calls Ukrainian colonel Chervinsky coordinator, quote unquote, of Nord Stream attacks. Before I start reading, what would be the percentage you give to this claim? Before I read it, I give you mine, 1%. Okay, let's move on. Ukrainian colonel Roman Chervinsky. When I see this Roman in front of a Slavic name, cling, ling, 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 was the alleged, I like that word, coordinator of the attack on the Nord Stream pipelines. The Washington Post reported on Saturday, citing Ukrainian and European officials. So the Ukrainians said that about their own boy. Why? Because it's gonna go like this, like a boomerang, but it's not gonna hit back. It's gonna hit like a curve, bang, Zaluzhny. I think Ukrainian and European officials, as well as other people familiar with details of the operation. Well, if they're familiar, that means they are part of the deal. So if they're a part of the deal, they are criminals. That's a infrastructure between two countries. Criminals, at least viewed by Germany. You can say, well, it's Russia, blah, blah, blah. We had to blow that up because of Russia. But you also hit Germany in the meantime. Now, that's a crime. International terrorism is called that one, right? Both ways. Both ways. I mean, Russia towards Russia and Germany, I would say. That's infrastructure. You can say that the Russians get money, whatever. But with the Germans, what is that? The newspaper, which called Chervinsky a senior Ukrainian military officer with close ties with the country's intelligence, reported that the colonel allegedly played a key role in the attack on the Nord Stream gas pipeline last year. Chervinsky was the coordinator, quote unquote, of the operation, and he did not act alone. Let's see who are the other ones. The report also said, not this guy, this is not the most important guy, the other guy is. So, the Ukrainian officer took orders from more senior officials who ultimately reported to, brace yourselves, Ukrainian Commander-in-Chief Valery Zaluzhny. The newspaper reported, citing people familiar with how the attack was carried out. Now, this is a setup. I am 99% certain that is a setup of that guy over there called Zelensky Zaluzhny, okay? That guy, the general. The Nord Stream pipelines, built to deliver gas under the Baltic Sea from Russia to Germany, were hit by explosions in September 2022, The pipeline's operator, Nord Stream AG, said that the damage was unprecedented. Denmark, Germany, and Norway have left Russia out of their, it's not Norway, it's Sweden, of their investigations into the attack, prompting Moscow to launch its own investigation with charges of international terrorism. Now, we know that Seymour Hersh said it was organized by the Al Capone with the support of Norway. Washington has denied and came with a garbage, toddler, infantile story, Now it says in mid-July, media reported that Dutch military intelligence had performed the CIA of Ukraine's plans to sabotage the Nord Stream pipelines, blah, blah, blah. I don't think so. And from the information I got, the Ukrainians do not and did not possess the technical capability of blowing up the pipelines with a ton, at least, of explosive. Did not. And I'm not saying me because I woke up with a hard on. No. I have some, how do you call them, experts, okay? Military experts. I made videos citing those people, all right? So let's move on. It was not Ukraine. I don't know if it was. I give it 1% it was Ukraine. 1. It could have been people, I don't even need to hire them. Why would you hire? Get complicated. It was a state actor, a country, with its technical and technological abilities and with the desire and the interest. And there are not too many on this planet. Again, according to some experts. Who could those be? If you add all these things, who's que bono, who benefits the most, who said will do it, who has the capability, is only one, by far, the prime suspect. Suspect does not mean is guilty. Prime suspect. As I always say, you see the trace of menstruation on the pavement of that suspect. From across Atlantic, going through the Atlantic, going the Baltic Sea, boom, 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 and going to London. Okay? So I made these videos when that occurred, and I said, I put my percentages, who I think it is. Ukraine? No. Those guys with the yacht, the diverse club of 6 guys and a woman, that was for Hollywood. That was for Hollywood, my friends. They're gonna make movies on that one. Why? Because they said, the Americans said, we know, we don't know who did it, but we know they were not Americans or something like this. How can you know they're not Americans if you know who they are? I mean, it's impossible for you to know all the Americans. So how can you make a statement like that? It's like right now I would speak in the name of all my family. I know that thing that occurred over there, it was none of my family members. How do I know that? I gotta know who those guys are, because I have no control over how many relatives I have in my family to say, hey, Gigi, did you do it? No. Gigi2, did you do it? Gigi3, did you do it? I can't possibly do that. So it's impossible for you to say that. You say they were not carrying US passports or something. Really? You gotta know. The same thing with the percentages. When you say someone is running low of, or they are at 25% of their missile capabilities. You know how these guys are claiming about Russia, they ran out of missiles. They say 20% of their capabilities. That means you know how many they have. So you give us the number if you know. You know how many they got right now, and you can make percentage. You know exactly how much it is, the percentage. But if you know where you started, how in the hell you find out, oh, they're low, there's 25%. Out of how many? You have to know in order to decide. Anyway. Unless you say, well, God, you have to know. I'm not going to go into that. Now, regarding this garbage. No, this is another, I think it's set up for Zaluzhny. They want to put Zaluzhny into, I don't know, criminal, blah, blah, blah. Because why? I made a video on an article saying Zelensky had no knowledge of anything. If Zaluzhny did it, I have no idea. Do you think so? Do you think so? I don't think so. I don't believe that. So Ukraine doesn't have the capability, and I don't think Zaluzhny would have done it without the knowledge of Zelensky. And Zelensky was quick to say, they mentioned one time, again, could have been the the Ukrainian government, Ukrainians. And he said, Zelensky came out and said, it was not me, I have no knowledge. If it was Zaluzhny, I have no knowledge. What? For me, it was very suspicious. What do you mean? You already talk about Zaluzhny now? It's a setup. I think this guy's, it's a fight, I think, between Zelensky and his sponsors and the Ukrainian Zaluzhny. I don't want to give Zaluzhny too much credibility, but as of now, Zaluzhny did not make a fool of himself, like other clowns. He didn't say, as far as I heard, anything idiotic, anything... No, I have nothing to say about Zaluzhny. I'm sorry. Or not sorry, I'm happy, actually. Because that means, if I didn't hear anything and he has a lot of enemies, that means he's kind of a guy somewhere. He's a kind of guy, let's put it this way. Yeah, come with a better, and the sources were Ukrainians. Why would the Ukrainians say it? Do you understand the implications if they would say, yeah, it was us? Again, but anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.